meeting to order. Ask you please to stand for the invocation by Commissioner Jones. Remain standing for the pledge to the flag.
Lord, we thank you for this time that we're able to come together and work on behalf of the citizens. We pray that you'll give us wisdom and help us work through the decisions and make the best decisions for the citizens. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Consideration to approve the minutes for the approve the agenda. Families and glasses not considered. Maybe. I have no changes. If no one else does. Anybody can approve the agenda as presented? Second. Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve the minutes for the May 19th, 2015 Commissioner meeting. Any changes or corrections from you? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the
Motion to approve as written. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So carried. Should be noted that public comments should be limited to our agenda items only, and that documents from this meeting, as are all meetings, are located in the clerk's office and on the Board of Commissioners website. Having no old business, no consent agenda, we're going into new business. First item, consideration to approve an MOU for the anticipated collections addendum from non-federal sources for the SAVE program.
Mr. Chairman, this item is typically presented by George Shaw as it's related to the zoning department. It's an MOU that's been established by the Department of Homeland Security and U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. It relates to immigration reporting as it pertains to business licensing. This has been approved, I would say probably for the past 5 to 7 years, whenever this new law came about through federal government. And we pretty much just set aside a certain amount of money should we need to go into the system to verify someone's immigration status.
All right. Any questions? Do I have a motion?
make a motion to approve alternative number 1. Approve. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve to allow the lease agreement with Air Methods Corporation, formerly OmniFlight, to automatically renew for fiscal year 2016 and to simply the contract bid. That's not written right, is it?
Simplify. Did you say simplify? You should say simplify.
Gotcha.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. The board currently has a lease agreement in place with OmniFlight Helicopters, doing business as Rescue Air One Lifestyle, now known as Air Methods Corporation. The original agreement ran from November 2008 to June 2009 with 5 automatic 1-year renewals, after which it allows for 5 additional automatic annual renewals unless cancelled. The county currently invoices Air Methods 3 times a month for gas use, utilities and building rent. In order to simplify the billing process, AMC have agreed to the county invoicing an average amount each month based upon the previous 12 months' invoices, with the county providing a true-up invoice at the end of each fiscal year. As there is no funding required, and amendment number 2, which incorporates the changes to the invoicing procedure, has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, Staff recommend alternative number 1, approval to allow the agreement to renew for fiscal year 16, and approval to allow contract billing to be simplified. Any questions?
Any questions? Comment? Motion?
Make motion to approve order number 1.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve and execute FCC notification for Spectrum Manager lease ownership disclosure information and Spectrum lease agreement.
Effingham County uses Census software to read meters. The spectrum that Census owns is a private frequency and as such needs Federal Communications Commission approval and registration. The current Federal Communications Commission Wireless Telecommunications Bureau radio station authorization for spectrum from Census expires on August 5, 2015. Census will file a spectrum lease with the FCC on behalf of the county in order for the FCC to issue a radio station wireless authorization in the county's name. Census have provided the FCC notification for Spectrum Manager lease ownership disclosure information form and Spectrum lease agreement for the county to complete and execute. As there is no cost for the FCC radio station authorization and the county attorney has reviewed and approved the agreement, staff recommend alternative number 1, approval to execute the agreement. Any questions?
No question? Comment? Motion?
Motion to approve alternative number 1.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Next item, consideration to approve a contract with CHA for master planning and schematic design services for the new recreational facility.
Mr. Chairman, this is the same agreement this board approved at your last meeting. The only difference is a procedural issue on which what we brought to you last time was actually the scope of work. We did not bring the first, I'm trying to count, 5 or 6 pages here, which is the actual agreement, which contains the terms and conditions, the standard contract language from the consultant. The only difference in the scope is that we had that issue last time. We're still referenced to 77 acres. We've changed that to reflect the 120 under project understanding and under assumptions added the very first bullet, which spells out more clearly what we had alluded to last time as far as the ownership of the digital documents that go along here. Other than that, it's the exact same agreement. We're just really bringing it back procedurally because the attorney or the board reviewed the terms and conditions. We want y'all to see those. But it does give us the opportunity tonight to do a little bit of planning on schedules. And so, assuming that y'all still are in favor of approving the agreement you approved last meeting, we would like to discuss where we go from here now that we have everybody in the room as far as timing of public hearings and so forth, that we can check calendars and get set to go forward.
All right. First item of business is to pass this item of business, then we can talk about that. Any other questions? I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Second. Motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. I see CHA's in the audience.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Patrick Graham with CHA Consulting. Thank you for approving our proposal for a second time. And my apologies to staff and to you for having to look at it twice. But we wanted to make sure you had all the contract language in there. But it is a good opportunity for us to talk schedule. I understand from my colleague King Evans, who was here with you last time, that was part of your questions last time in terms of how quickly we could get going. And we are very anxious to get started and get moving with you. Obviously, this is going to be a public process because of all of your involvement with the planning and programming. And so we need to plan those meetings very carefully. terms of obviously to maximize the participation from your side as well as Recreation Board and from staff. In terms of where we go with next steps, the first steps in the master planning process will be a series of 2 programming workshops. The first of those is really to talk about the program of the new recreation facility, all 120 acres. And then the second would be to come back to you with some conceptual layouts, some alternatives that you could look at, provide some comment on and feedback on so that we can select a preferred option. One of the things that we would like to do, if it works with your schedules, is to possibly try and do those 2 workshops in the same week. We have done that for a number of clients over the years, have found it to be very successful both for the client and also for our staff. And so, for example, we could hold the first program workshop one day. All we would need is one day in between to work on the layouts, and then on the third day we could come back and have the second workshop, just as an example. Obviously, that's going to depend a lot on your availability and your schedules. So I wanted to bring that to you as a possibility. That would obviously help us advance the schedule on the master planning process and get us moving forward very quickly. So I'd just bring that to you for some comment and see your thoughts on that as far as whether that would be acceptable.
Mr. Clarence, when's the next rec board meeting?
Monday night.
Next Monday?
Yes, sir.
I would propose, you should have all of your rec board members there.
They all plan on being there.
I would propose that this commission can make that available for us to meet at the rec board meeting. That's already an advertised meeting. Correct?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, let me interject one thing here. I have heard a couple of you mentioning the fact that you may want some delegation to go out and look at existing fields to get ideas of what we like and what we don't. If you do in fact wish to do that, I would suggest that happens before these programming workshops, so that you go into these workshops with ideas of what you want to incorporate into this facility. If you do not wish to do so, I think it's a perfectly legitimate process. We can handle it Monday, Tuesday, be done by Wednesday or Thursday. I think it just depends on how much thought you want to put into this facility.
Well, I want to put a lot of thought in it, but I don't want to drag it out. We have kind of drug along, I think, and I want to get it moving. So
Sure.
And that's fine. We already have a master plan, so we could honestly skip 1 and 2 and go right on to the design if you also choose. We're rehashing the whole ground here, but however y'all want. I've just heard people say that you want to do that. If you don't, that's perfectly fine.
With the rec board to go visit some facilities. And also, that's the person who did the new board. I don't know what the officers.
okay.
Clarence, do you already have some time set up to go look at other facilities?
My time is free and all my boards that ever left.
Come on up here and give us your 2 cents worth on the record.
I do my best to keep them coming up here, y'all can't shut me up.
But I'm Clarence Morgan, the recreation rep. I talked to my board today, and they would love to go if we decide to go on a site visit. And before I talked to her, say that they could make time, and would love to go. And my time is we can go anytime where I'm concerned.
Well, another thing we could do, if we want to have everybody have time to see these other facilities, and then let them have their first meeting.
Yeah. And I can call. I can have a call meeting with my people anytime.
Yeah. We
By my
could
chair.
follow up with a call, or we could have one of the workshops prior to our next county commission meeting, and then have the next one the following Thursday.
And have a meeting and decide whether to go take a look.
Whichever.
And that could possibly happen because we delayed this next meeting, so we have 3 weeks.
I'll give everybody time to go see different facilities and have good input, I think, but it wouldn't be dragging it out,
I simply thought I had heard others say that. It doesn't matter to me how you want to proceed.
I think-
We did that with the jail, and it was beneficial.
I think every complex you see, you're gonna find good stuff, and if you talk to the right people, they tell you what they dislike about it. So I think it'd be beneficial to go if we can find time to go.
If we were going to set the next meeting up, like at a workshop prior to the next county commission meeting, how much time do we need to designate for that?
I'd recommend a minimum of 2 hours. It'd be great to have 4, but you know, obviously everybody's schedules are important, and particularly if you're going to have a commission meeting right after that, we want to be sensitive to that. So if we're all engaged and ready and know we got to get it done in 2 hours, we can get it done in 2 hours.
Was the first meeting usually the longest meeting or the second meeting the longest meeting?
Sometimes it varies. I think in this case that probably the second would be longer because that's going to be more looking at the different layouts. As Toss mentioned, y'all have a pretty darn good idea of what you want out there based on the input that we've gotten from Clarence. So I don't think the programming part is going to take that long, but it is a process we need to go through and look at some budget numbers and things like that for you.
What did we move the date of our meeting to?
23rd is our meeting, 3 weeks from today.
What do you have to look at?
Where are these facilities? You've got places in mind that you want to go look at?
Well, I think you should automatically go to Statesboro, but we can do that anytime. But Dublin has a fine one. A couple this side, Atlanta has a fine one. Waycross has a fine one. North Jacksonville, I think, also has a fine one. Yeah, you can go as far as you want to. Myrtle Beach has a super fine, but that may not be a feasible day trip.
A long trip. But we've done it. We went to Atlanta on some of those jail trips. Left at 4 in the morning, got back at midnight.
Myrtle Beach has good
I
stuff.
think every trip we make would be beneficial. If we make one, we make 2.
Somebody, and you know, for the benefit of people that can't attend, somebody should try to video some or whatever, take some shots.
We actually designed the Myrtle Beach one, so we could probably bring you some photos of that if you like.
Well, I don't think the first question is, do we want to do this? You know, if we want to do it, then we need to find out who's going to be there so we can start working on schedules. If we don't want to do it, it's a non-issue.
Well, I heard some commissioners say they wanted to do it, so
I just thought it'd be beneficial. I see them all the time, so.
I think somebody should spirit to set them up and whoever will attend the ones we can.
Because it sounds like the rec board in totality wants to do that. So if this board wants to, we can figure out who from this board and then work on some times. And we may can do it next week. We just have to, that's why I'm asking, you know, to see who's available. If we can do 1 or 2 next week, have meetings the following week, and then your board will be the week after that. We wouldn't delay anything.
I can delay my meeting or have my meeting and have them call me. So for my board get together, it'd not be a problem.
Yeah, because I definitely like to go there with some eyes on some different facilities.
And Patrick probably could tell us the good and bad about Myrtle Beach. Without going to North Myrtle Beach, and they did.
Yeah.
And that's a
Myrtle
plus.
Beach will be a longer day.
And that would be a plus because they got all everything from there.
You talked about the one in Dublin. You didn't have anything to do with that. You familiar with it?
I haven't been to the Dublin facility myself, so I can't speak to that one specifically.
They have a 2 youth complex and an adult complex.
I've been to one in Dublin.
Yeah. And then Waycross they're getting a little bit aged, but it was one of the better ones back good many years ago, and I feel it's still good. We know Statesboro good. Now I know some stuff they probably don't like, but we know law is a great park.
Well, bottom line is you got to decide how many fields of what you want, and then fit it on the property.
You know.
And the advantage of looking at fields is to
Well, I think you're
some of
going
the mistakes they've made so you don't make them again.
Just the little nuances that, you know, can make it special, you know.
And probably going to include what you do with dugout, what you do with bleacher shelter, what you do with press box, what you do with backstop, what you do with the playground inside the park. All that will determine your cost.
Yeah.
And there's many ways to go. Some people don't even put shelter over bleachers, but everybody who go anywhere, love
Well, if I had anything to say about it, these are all going to have covered dugouts.
them. Oh, the dugout will be, I'm talking about bleacher covers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when Dublin first opened, they didn't have any bleacher covers before. They caught the devil for a couple of years till they put them up there. And it was a nice complex.
Well, I'll go to any of them anytime.
So I heard 3, is there anybody
I
else?
mean, I'll make myself available.
After
I'd like to go to one.
Well, we'll work on scheduling sometimes, maybe next week or something. We have to limit the contingency or delegation to the vehicle unless we take 2. I mean, we may can do that too. We can just get 2 and drive, because I think you said your whole board, and it sounds like most all of this board wants to, so we're gonna get up to 12, 14 people pretty quick. So we may just find two vans or something to go over there. So is there anybody that knows a day they can't do this? If we try to do something next week, does anybody have any?
Stay away from Mondays and Fridays.
Yeah, Friday in Myrtle Beach only. Maybe it's a chunk of it.
I've got a commitment on the 10th, but I can probably do that.
Well, we'll send out some emails next week or later this week, rather trying to get everybody scheduled together, and I'll get Clarence and we'll see.
And a week prior to the 4th, I think the 4th is on Saturday, but we may be talking about sooner than that.
Yeah, we are, I'm not trying to get this done so we can then schedule the public workshops the next week, and we need to have, we got to advertise it. So Stephanie's gonna have time to advertise those. So we'll work
Do you not
on
want
it.
to do the first workshop on the June 23rd, you want to try to do it the week before that?
I think week of the 15th would definitely be the 2 weeks we're looking at. What do you think?
Well, either way, I guess, it's.
Or maybe one each, if we can, a little more.
Yeah, we can do it the week prior. There's not really an action item to bring back to y'all. I mean, once that's approved, y'all will get started on your schematic designs and master plans and so forth. Or somewhere, maybe even the next week. We'll work it out 3 weeks before July, so we get this thing done in the next couple of weeks of this month. We'll get on some email, borrow, and get schedules. Okay. All right. Thank you, Patrick.
All righty, thank y'all.
All right. Next item, consideration to approve the second reading of the budget ordinance for fiscal year 2015, 2016.
As each of you know, each year we pass a budget ordinance. It's in conjunction with our budget document. Better? Yes, sir. We pass a budget ordinance in conjunction with our actual budget document. That ordinance is the governance for how we operate within the actual budget. And this past agenda, we had our first reading. And we went through the particular changes that we had made regarding it being at a department level rather than it being at a category level. And so this is the second reading, and we're simply asking for your approval of that document.
Okay. Should the ordinance not be voted on after the budget?
It's governed, the way I looked at it, because I thought.
It's the overall governance for that
Just
budget
governs
document.
how we do it, so
Okay.
we're gonna have to pass it with somebody eventually, so.
It was flipped last meeting, wasn't it?
It was.
That is,
That's why it was questioned, one being before the other.
I don't think it's appropriate. It just governs that you have to follow all
It's
these
definitely
measures.
government and
All right, so we're voting on the ordinance. I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve order number 1.
Motion and a second to approve as written. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. So next is the consideration to approve the second reading of the 2015-2016 fiscal year budget.
Yes, sir. We have updated the slides, but we have already been through those several times. Let me call your attention to 2 of the items that the staff is asking for direction and approval on as far as the update of this document. If you recall, this last time we spoke about how we were going to handle the hospital. And if you look at your budget, your new budget document, you will see that on page S44, we have included the medical care for indigent or hospital at $3.6 million. We spoke about the fact that we could either use fund balance from the general fund or that we could use the special tax district. And so you will see that representation as a special fund with the actual functional revenues being the tax revenues that are coming in and anticipated, along with the funding from either the special tax district or the general fund. That's the first item. The second item is a request by staff for a line item change. It involves Department 7 and Department 25. We have had several requests, both from state court and also from the public defender's office. At this point, we have a contract with the public defender's office, which also includes state court. They're anticipating some changes in their office and structure. We got a budget late on Friday afternoon after some discussions. And because of some structure changes, we have had a request, which you'll see on your agenda item number 10, from state court to actually use a specific attorney to accommodate the indigent public defense within state court. We have looked at the funding that we have so far. We believe that right now we are coding and expensing to state court roughly about $45,000 out of the contract that we have with the public defender's office. We anticipate that we need about $25,000 more in Department 7 to be able to cover both requests fully. And so we have looked at the budget and ascertained that we believe that we can make that adjustment and increase to Department 7 to cover and to accommodate both requests. And so you will see within your packets both an updated sheet by the department totals and then individually where those line items would be changed. And so that is a $25,000 change between line items. It affects the budget, not at all as far as the totals, but it does accommodate and allow for the request of both state court and the public defender's office.
We were able to type a couple of other areas to cover what we feel like we're going to need to cover here.
That's correct.
So the overall budget is not changed.
That's correct. Those are the 2 items that staff is requesting and calling your attention to. We will update the overall departmental sheet within this budget. We usually do not do a final document until we've actually also done the millage levy, which is on the 23rd. But that should be the only changes to this document, and as such, staff is asking for approval.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the second reading of the budget.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. consideration to approve a resolution to set the 2015 fire fee.
Yes, sir. We generally try to do this as we're approving the budget. This particular resolution sets the fire fees that will be applied to the tax bill. There is no change at this point within these fire fees. And so we simply ask for their approval at this point.
City of Springfield already changed theirs to equal hours, correct?
Not yet. They actually had anticipated charging theirs the same way they had been in the past. They ran into some issues of being able to apply that to the bills. Brett did ask for our orders the other day. I believe it is now their intention to go back and change it to mirror hours. They have not done so yet. But again, our contract reads that we collect fees equal to. They can charge anything they want as long as they remit to us an amount equal to what that will be.
I see. So we're going to get from Springfield
Yes, sir.
equal
Yeah,
hours.
they can set them at 0 or they can set them at 10,000 structure. The choice is there. They just have to remit to us an amount equal to what we collected under our
So
state.
there's going to be some kind of audit or some kind of process of verifying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve order number 1.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Consideration to approve a resolution to set the 2016 sanitation fees.
This resolution, again, is in conjunction with the budget itself. Our current revenues slotted are based on this sanitation fee. There is no increase, and so we simply ask for the board's approval.
Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve an MOU by and between Effingham County and the Judicial Circuit Drug Court for State of Georgia Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Coordinating Council and to accept funds. That's a mouthful.
Yes, sir. We try to get it in one item. The issue here is, you recall, is that the drug court was requested to go out and seek grants in order to fund that particular activity. They did so. They received a grant. As we have in the past, we have had a MOU with them, spelling out the parameters of how we're going to act with that grant. It takes both the county and the drug court staff to affect that grant. And so on behalf of them, Patty came the other day, so they were able to get a grant and they would like to move forward with it. So we need your approval to accept that on their behalf and to facilitate the financial document.
Is this a new money, or is this the renewal of the other?
This is new money.
Okay, that's good.
And who's doing all the paperwork?
It will be between Patty and myself,
And,
as we've done in the past.
Sheriff Kentucky has given us good input on the fact that he feels it's been beneficial and probably save the county some money. So, for the record, that seems to have been a good thing.
But this is no no movement of funds from any other account. This is
No,
just-
sir.
We are the administrator of the grant for them.
That's correct. Now, we will need to do a budget increase because this just came in. We will make a budget amendment to show the revenue and to show the expense.
It's a wash.
Yes, that's correct.
That's the same as this board did previously because they were having problems funding the court. So we started funding and then being reimbursed by the grant.
Yes, and this basically affects that same
I don't know
process.
if we always front and reimburse, but in some cases we do front the money and then but we're reimbursed.
We, in this case, will always once they have expended, we will go ahead and give them those funds to reimburse it and wait on reimbursement.
Garvin and Cloud, how much money are we talking about?
$108,000.
Right.
And I don't know if you heard, but it's a wash where they get this money to bank, which is a.
I remember that. I just, and this is from the state or feds?
No, sir, state.
Actually, I don't, it's a wash for the funds that we send, but it saves us money in the long run because we're not having to incarcerate and put these people out there in jail. So it's a benefit. Motion.
Make a motion that we approve the request.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? So carried. All over the folks. Consideration to authorize the chairman to execute a contract for indigent defense services for state court for fiscal year 2016.
Mr. Chairman, these are all the changes that we were just discussing in the budget. The state court would like to utilize a attorney outside of the public defender's office to provide for indigent defense services within that court, the state court. There will still be a contract for Superior and Juvenile Court that will come before y'all. We've not yet received that. We got the budget request, so the money is allocated in the budget. We haven't actually got the contract for their services yet. I would assume we would expect that fairly soon to come before y'all. So anyhow, again, this is for indigent defense services in the state court. We will have another separate contract with the public defender's office to provide these same services in the Superior Juvenile courts. And again, the funding is included in the budget that y'all just approved.
Just having to move it around a little bit.
Yes.
Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve order number 1.
Motion and second, all in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve an enforcement response plan.
Mr. Chairman, this is a continuation of our MS4 efforts that we started some time ago. This is a document that we had a little bit of extra time to prepare from the initial submittal. We've recently completed our first annual review, and they are asking for this document now. And it is exactly what it states. It's a response plan for enforcement of activities under the MS4, under the Stormwater Management Ordinance. Y'all approved that January of this year, basically the second reading of the Stormwater Ordinance. And all of this authority is derived from that ordinance that you already have. This is simply a document that restates that for the field people as a quick reference guide to go by and look at what authority that ordinance gives them and the escalations of certain activities from a verbal warning all the way to actually taking them to court. And again, that's all it is. It's a summation of existing ordinances that y'all have already approved.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion to approve 21, includes the
Second.
Motion and a second to approve, all in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve to authorize the county administrator to sign a water extension letter to EPD for Moon River Studio.
This is similar to the one we did the other day for Hunter's Walk. Anytime an application for water or sewer extension goes to EPD, one of the things that they require is a certification that the infrastructure is not built on or in close proximity to any property used or that has been used as a landfill. We write that based on a certification from the consultants. You'll see that included in your package as well, in which they certify us that that hasn't happened. We take that certification, use it for the basis of our DPD, and this is for the purpose of submitting for a water line extension from the well to the proposed project site on the Moon River, I guess the Arday Studios facility. And we're just asking
Question? Motion.
Motion to approve alternative one.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve the first reading and second reading of revisions to the litter control ordinance.
This is another general RMS 4 days. You may recall that very recent December of 14, y'all approved a litter ordinance. In our first annual update upon review of our litter ordinance, EPD didn't like it. They wanted us to add that one sentence in that's in section 3 here that basically restates what it says at the beginning, but they like the verbiage of it a little bit better. So in an effort to placate them, we're asking for y'all's approval for first and second reading of this revision.
We need two votes.
Or two votes, first and second.
First reading.
All right, I need a motion to approve the first reading.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? First reading passes. I need a motion to approve the second reading.
Make a motion to approve the second reading. I'll say.
Motion and a second, all in favor? None opposed?
Who's gonna do it in all the enforcement on this? Little person in Effingham County has been in years, there's litter everywhere.
The primary enforcement is from our code enforcement, and obviously they don't go out there not full-time. They don't have any set patrol area. If someone calls and has a complaint, they do go out and investigate and follow up on it, but they're not proactive. And we don't have a full-time code enforcement officer.
Most
So we-
construction jobs have those roll-offs that they load.
Yeah, and that was the revision here, was to prohibit the discharge of waste from construction sites, not in the housing stage, but before that, when the infrastructure goes in, which we currently do not have a provision for.
Yeah, I know this is add-on to it, but we don't have anybody to do any litter on the roads now, it's terrible out there.
No, we don't, no, sir.
I got a big dump site right in front of my house.
Yeah, code enforcement will respond if called, and they have to be called.
All right, next item, consideration to approve an ordinance for conveyance of 1.993 acres of land. The land we previously surplus.
At your last meeting, that is correct. The board voted to surplus this property at their last meeting. This is an ordinance conveying said property to Benjamin Roach, ultimately to go back to the Bank of Newington. They are the adjacent property owner in this case, and whatever point they're looking to stop on them.
And that's what I was going to say. This would also, this ordinance would require two readings. We want to hold the second reading until after executive session because it's related to another matter.
I think that's a good idea. All right.
If you'd like to delay both readings until after executive session, certainly do that.
You wanna make the first reading now and do the second after?
I would recommend that we just table this to after executive session, and we can do both. Because
I think that's a good idea, because if there's something that we need to discuss in there that's relevant.
I think we need to be sure everybody's on the same page before. So may I have a motion to table this?
Make a motion to table it after executive session.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. Next item, consideration to appoint a member to the Recreation Board for the 4th District. Reggie?
Make a motion to appoint Craig Johnson to the rec board.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? So appointed. All right, that is the last item of regular business. You want to go into executive session? I think let's do it, then let's do committee report.
We don't have any.
Sir?
We don't have any unless Staff doesn't have it.
Is
unless
there
the board
any
has it.
staff here, anybody wants to make a report?
I got one,
Well, let's just go ahead and get it out of the way then. Go ahead.
okay.
We're always quick.
It's gonna be fast. I had a fella call me, I went to see him. And he wants to make he got a little trailer that he sells popcorn and ball peanuts out of. He wants to fix this thing up for bait. Like they have in something down at Tuscany Landing. He takes a little trailer down there and he set up and he sells bait, tackle and all this kind of stuff. And he wanted to know, he did it in Jackson County years ago. So he wants to know if the county would allow him to do that in our, where we got some land over at Geechee River too. He just wants to set it up and sell bait and tackle off his little, he had it set up down here on 21 before you go out on the bypass sometime, a little red trailer. He wants to convert it to a bait trailer.
But he won't be selling anything edible out of it. He's not
No.
still selling peanuts.
No peanuts, nothing.
So it won't come under health department rules.
It's just,
Is it a land insurance? Is it a landing on the Geechee River? Insurance.
yeah, we got land over there.
A landing, is it?
Yeah, we got land over there.
Well, I know we did.
We got a ramp and all over there, a little shelter over there.
I'll make sure that's where you're talking about.
Does he have a business
What about
license?
liability issues?
Pardon?
Does he have a business license?
He said he'd have a license, he'd have $1 million worth of insurance and all this stuff.
He has a county license to operate.
I don't know, but he would probably get them.
I would want to be sure that we.
That would be no problem.
Consider it.
He just wanted to know what his options were before we,
Well, it's just like, do we have anything on the books? Because to me,
I already talked to George.
this is, but to me, this is the same thing as us having a building and letting somebody use it. This is property. So we really don't have anything in place, I don't think,
We don't.
to do it.
I talked to George, he said right now we don't have any ordinance on the books, but he would look into it and see what we needed for him to do that.
In order for us to consider what we would need to do is do something just like what we
Just
talked about
like we're
doing,
talking
is
about
the
doing
buildings,
too.
is set up some kind of procedure.
How would that be different than, like at the rec facilities, when there's a tournament and they come in and they sell food or they sell products? I've seen that.
Unless it's an approved booster club.
I mean, it's pretty similar.
Unless it's an approved booster club, businesses shouldn't be just coming up with a cart and setting up on property and selling stuff without a business license.
Oh, I agree.
Without approval from whoever's property they're on, whether it be the county or whether it be an individual.
No, I disagree.
And so it may not be different, people are doing it, but they need to do it, we need to have a
Yeah,
process.
I told him he wants to be legal with it, I mean, he don't want to do nothing on the code, so I told him I'd bring it before the board.
And it wouldn't be exclusive, I mean, anybody can set up a sign, you know.
Yeah, I'm with
We can have the attorney try to work on something for us to look at and see what would make sense and give some input.
I mean, like when the chamber does stuff with Taste of Effingham and these other things that have to do with food, the health department gets involved. But
No food.
something like that.
He said he did it in Jackson County years ago.
We need to look at what provisions, and I don't think we've got anything in our ordinances that allow for us to actually give people permission to have a commercial business on our property. And if somebody correct,
George said we did not, I already talked to George. But he wouldn't be set up down there all the time.
Then I
They
think
had
you're-
tournaments, and that's when he
One
would.
special event,
Special event, yeah.
so I think your answer is, we don't have any mechanism in place to do it.
Well, I told him that. But I also told him I'd bring it up to the board.
But that's the same thing we've said we need to look at for rental buildings and things like that. I don't see it as any different.
The school board does have a document that they use, and I don't know, if we could look at it as an example or maybe tweak it or something like that. But they have something that they use, that they have people sign about using some of their facilities.
You know, it's one thing if it just happens and we don't know about it, but for them to come in here and ask us to sanction it, that's a different story.
If I just have him go and set up, and he'd go ahead and set up, as long as we didn't know anything about it, it'd be all right. I'm
Now,
ready.
if you told him, you represent this board.
If one of the neighbors decide to set up something else and sell something else, you've got that.
What else you got? That's it. Okay. Bill?
I wrote it up.
No, that's all right. At some point, we need to sit down and have a lengthy discussion, and whether that's going to be in a retreat or a workshop or whatever. I keep getting phone calls from people that live in subdivisions that want their roads something done to. And we, as you know, don't have enough money to pay for the main roads that need to be fixed in this county. So we're going to have to try and figure out what we're going to be able to do and how we're going to do it.
Yeah, we get a list of who's requesting what. That would help.
I had a road request too, but I didn't bring one of it. Subdivision.
All right, Tosh, you have nothing?
No, sir.
Somebody give me that magic
Make a
motion.
motion to an executive session, to discuss personnel property and civil litigation.
One second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Without objection, we stand so adjourned.
Can you do a first time visitors tonight? Our meeting is not only usually an hour, it's usually 3 or 4. So.
All right.
Y'all sticking around?
Hot light. All right. Back in regular session. Previously, this board, and let the record show that Commissioner Kiefer has had to leave, so he didn't join us back. Still have a quorum. Previously, we had tabled till after executive session, item number 14 on our new business. And I am asking this board to give me a motion to table that for action until June 23rd's meeting.
I'll make a motion, Chairman, that we table that action until our next meeting on June 23rd.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item is the approval of the minutes from our executive session on May 19, 2015.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve is written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Any other business to come before this commission this evening? I have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you all for your service this evening.